One word on a label can legally hide hundreds of chemicals. That word is fragrance. In today's episode, we're talking about how synthetic scent impacts hormone balance, thyroid function, fertility, and even your nervous system, and how to rethink what clean really means in your home. Let's go. So when I rebranded the podcast, I don't know, 6, 8 months ago, however long it's been now, I was getting lots of reviews from mamas who were listening. I now am talking to a little bit different of a group, and I'm thinking that you all might think your reviews don't matter, but can I just say that they do? If you have not taken the time to leave me a written review over on Apple Podcasts, I would love it if you would. You'll hear your review read right here. I used to read reviews here all the time, but I haven't had any lately. So, this is my ask of you. It doesn't cost you anything at all to head over there, leave a quick 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts. If you don't have an Apple product, that's fine. Other ways that you can help that don't cost you a thing are things like going over to my YouTube channel, subscribing there, and leaving comments on the videos there. So those are some ways to help me if you would like to. I sure would appreciate it. It really, really matters, especially for small shows like mine, because it helps me be shown to other people like you who might find my content helpful. So, with that, let's get into our episode for today. We've been talking about, what you wash your body with, what you wash your hair with, what you rub on your skin. And today we're going to talk about what you breathe. And if we're being honest, what I know you really like. This thing has actually been talked about on both of the previous episodes, but we're going to go into more detail today because it is more broad than just hair care and skincare where you will find this. And that thing is fragrance. Fragrance is one of the most consistent daily exposures that we have. We get it in the products that I've mentioned in the previous 2 episodes, places like our hair care products, our skincare products. We also get it in the toxic cloud that emanates around us when we go into different establishments, places like that Bath and Body, you know what store? I don't want to name it, get myself in legal trouble, but you know what I'm talking about. It's the one that we all used to love as teenagers. But now, if you're like me, you walk within 100 feet of the front door and you get nauseous or you get a headache. All of these places that have all of these smells are impacting our health. We get it from candles, we get it from perfumes, colognes, cleaners, everywhere. Come Christmas time, everybody's giving candles to everybody as the gift that we give to people. We don't know what else to give them. Meanwhile, we are actually giving them a toxic load that now their body is going to have to deal with. These fragrances are largely unregulated. And here's the thing, that term fragrance is a legally protected trade secret. What that means is they can put anything that they want into their product under the label of fragrance and not tell you what those things are because they consider it proprietary, that that's their smell and that's what kind of brands their product. And so they don't have to tell you what's in it. And that one word on the label can hide hundreds of undisclosed chemicals. And you better believe they are taking full advantage of that little loophole where they can put anything in and not tell you about it. So, what does fragrance actually mean? Well, we know it means smell, but beyond that, we really don't know what it means because they don't have to tell us. Companies are not required to disclose fragrance ingredients. Because of that, they can put ingredients under that title that have to do with fragrance and maybe ones that don't have anything to do with fragrance, but they hide them there so they don't have to disclose what they are. A single fragrance blend can contain 100 to 300 chemicals. Many of these fragrances include the phthalates that we've talked about in previous episodes and synthetic musks, which are artificial smells. See, they know that more and more people are reading labels, more and more people are watching what they're doing and what they're putting in the products, and they know that that term is a license to hide any and everything that they don't want to tell you about. Now, not all scent is harmful. The problem is the undisclosed synthetic fragrance mixtures. And since they won't tell us what's in them and they're still okay with putting that term fragrance on their label, we can't verify that what's in there is okay. And so if you see that term, you can know that that company is hiding something from you because there is something behind that one little word and they're not telling you what it is. So, how does fragrance enter the body? Well, this is where it gets real because this is where the exposure to our systems happens. It causes our bodies to have to do something with it. Fragrance exposure happens through inhalation, obviously, through smelling it. It goes directly into our lungs when we smell it. Oftentimes, we think that the things that we smell are no big deal. It's just the nice, scents of our life. But those scents are composed of something. Something exists to make you be able to smell these things. And those things that are making that smell be a thing for you. I know I just said thing a lot of times, but you know what I mean. That's going directly into your lungs. And your lungs are a rapid bloodstream absorption system. The air goes directly into your alveoli, right up next to capillaries that are picking up the oxygen, that then take it and distribute it to your body quickly. Your respiratory system is one of the fastest delivery systems for anything, whether it be medications or in this case, toxins. That also leads to immediate brain signaling. So these things are all tied together. And when these things are going into your blood system and into your bloodstream, now they have put something in there that is not designed to be there. It's some chemical that was made by man, not designed by God to be there. And now your body is going to have to figure out a way to try to get rid of it if it can. Oftentimes, our systems get very weighed down and they can't, and these chemicals end up living on in your system, causing continual, repeated exposure. If you have been curious about Verity Village when you've heard me talking about it here on the podcast and you've been wondering what's that all about, I have got some great news for you today because now you can come try Verity Village for 2 days for just $2. It's like almost no commitment, right? Verity Village, Verity, by the way, means truth. Verity Village is a private community for Christian women just like you who want clarity, they want support, they want wisdom without the noise of social media or the pressure to already have it all figured out. Come read the conversations, watch the replays, and just see if this is the kind of place that you've been looking for. Just go to https://www.morriswellnessservices.com/Verity Village. That's VERITY Village, or just go down to the show notes and click the link. Another way the fragrances get into your system is through your skin, through skin contact, things like perfume, scented lotion, laundry residue, the smells that make your laundry smell what we've decided smells good. That is chemicals on your clothes that is now going through your skin, which is your largest organ. Your skin is porous and it's designed to absorb things from the outside, and it absorbs the good and the bad. And when you use a laundry detergent that is laden with these fragrance chemicals, or you use perfume that has them, or you use a scented lotion or any number of other products, these chemicals are getting absorbed into your bloodstream, being distributed throughout your body for your body to now have to deal with. They are endocrine disruptors, as we have talked about, meaning they block the natural hormones' ability to do their job. They kind of confuse your system because they go in there kind of looking a little bit like your hormones. And in so doing, they block the actual hormones, which leads to a downstream effect that can cause sickness and all kinds of things. If you want to learn more about that, I did a quick video over on YouTube and Instagram that you can go check out that kind of gets into what that is and gives you a visual representation of the problem. But these things, suffice it to say, are adding to our toxic burden that our bodies are having to try to get rid of to keep us from being sick. Beyond that, there's just the cumulative exposure from things like your clothing, as I mentioned, your bedding, because if you're washing your sheets in these toxic laundry detergents, you're still getting more there and you're laying in it all night, every night. And then also just from indoor air, because as we're going into various places that have these scents going, or maybe you have them in your home right now, you're breathing them day in, day out for a constant low level exposure that leads to inflammation and leads to your body being overburdened. You're not just wearing a scent, you're living inside of it, and it's living inside of you, wreaking havoc. So, how do fragrances affect women specifically? Repeated exposure has been associated with things like estrogen mimicry. That's what I was just talking about, where these chemicals mimic, kind of sort of act like estrogen, causing your normal estrogen not to be able to do its job and can sometimes lead to your body having excess estrogen that can cause lots of problems. Reduced progesterone, cycle irregularity, both of those hormones I just discussed impact your cycle. So if they're getting messed up, obviously your cycles are going to have problems too. When your cycles have problems, and that leads to fertility disruption, thyroid interference, headaches, migraines, asthma, respiratory irritation, anxiety, because of the impact that it can have stimulating the nervous system. Scent bypasses logic and goes straight to the brain, and it goes straight to all of your body, and that confusion that it can make, and the way that the scents can mimic the hormones that your body is designed to have, yet not be able to do the job that your hormones are designed to do, can cause a just a plethora of health effects. I remember once, before I was crunchy, so to speak, I had met a midwife, and I remember her saying, when I was going to go meet her, I remember her telling me not to wear any scents. And I thought that was a little strange. And she said she emphasized that over and over when I was at her facility, that she did not allow any scents in her home because of the impact it had on her health. And I thought, well, that's interesting. And now I get it, because she wasn't talking about things like essential oils or natural things like that. She was talking about these chemicals, and obviously her body was very sensitive to them, but she was really protecting everyone that came into her space by keeping these chemicals out. And I now, in retrospect, admire her intensity about that subject long before it was popular to talk about it. This was probably 15 years ago, maybe 20. So, where does fragrance hide? Okay. Yes, we already talked about places like perfume. That's obvious, right? But as we've mentioned in previous episodes, it also shows up in places like shampoo and conditioner. It shows up in lotions, body washes, deodorant, which, again, as we talked about last week, is right up next to your lymph system, delivering those chemicals all over your body quickly. Your laundry detergent. I'm going to stop there and just kind of talk about it for a second, because my husband does long hair. I think I've maybe told you all of that before. And he comments on how he can know what laundry detergent a family uses just by walking by their house, because of the way the vent systems work. And that tells you, I mean, he's outside in this so-called fresh air, and he is smelling the chemicals from inside of these people's houses from the laundry detergents that they are using. These smells are not natural. They are purely chemicals. And we have told ourselves, and they have conditioned us to believe, that these smells mean clean. These smells do not mean clean. They mean chemicals covering up the scents that we're trying to wash out of our clothes. Suffice it to say that the smell is not where the cleanliness comes from. What cleanliness comes from, removing the filth that caused the smells to start with. So we'll talk in a minute about some options for laundry detergent, but understand that laundry detergent is one of the biggest offenders, because it is getting into your clothing that you are wearing every single day. Not long ago, I bought a used dress for one of my little girls, and I didn't notice it in the store, and I don't know how, because it would just about knock you over. But when I got home, I washed that dress 3 or 4 times to try to get out the just intense laundry detergent smell out of it, because it was so offensive, and it never came out. It's still there. It is, and that is purely chemicals that have bonded to the fibers of the fabric that will not let go. When your clothing has a smell that is still there, despite being washed in, fabric softener, laundry detergent that has no fragrance in it, and the smell won't go away, that's because it's bonded to the fabric, and it is going to be there essentially forever. Some of the chemicals that are in there, that's why they're there. They are designed to bond that smell to your fabric. And that smell, again, is fragrant, is chemicals, that are then being absorbed into your skin. Also, the same for fabric softeners, dryer sheets, these scent beads that they're advertising now that make everything just smell so great. They're all chemicals, they're all endocrine disruptors. Plug in air fresheners. These are a really bad one. They are very subtle, I guess, in that you don't really think about their impact. But I remember not long ago, I was at someone's house and I was sitting near one of these, and the smell was so strong. I remember texting my husband that I felt like I had a hole that was boring through my throat. It was so strong. Our homes do not need to smell like chemical factories. They don't need to smell like these things. We've convinced ourselves that this is what smells good. At what cost? Candles, another big offender. Car fresheners, cleaning sprays, trash bags. Even trash bags have chemicals on them to make them smell good. And I get it, trash stinks, but that smell on the bags doesn't keep the trash from still stinking. It just adds chemicals on top of the stink that's there. And then, sadly, another of the worst offenders, baby products. That sweet little baby smell that we've identified as being a baby smell in these lotions is actually chemicals that are soaking into our babies who are more vulnerable than we are because their bodies are so new. They have such a relatively high fat content. The fat holds on to these chemicals for a long time, maybe forever, and we are impacting our baby's development at the earliest stages by exposing them to chemicals that they were never designed to encounter. You may have removed perfume. You may kind of have known about this, and maybe you've taken perfume out, and maybe you've tried to, address your shampoo and address your conditioner and things like that, but you can still be bathing in fragrance. You must basically be an investigator to fully remove fragrance from your home, and you have to be very intentional because things are hiding everywhere. As I mentioned, some of the biggest offenders that hide the most from when I say hide, they're not hiding. They're very obvious. You can smell them, but they're things that we don't think about. Again, are the plug-in air fresheners because they have a continuous vaporized exposure to these chemicals. Dryer sheets and scent beads because heat activates these things, bonds them to your clothing fibers, and that smell never goes away. So that means that the chemicals never go away. Paraffin scented candles. Again, like I mentioned, these are like a favorite gift for people to give others, but they release volatile compounds into the air in addition to the scents that are in there that fragrance the chemicals, giving you really a double attack to your system from toxins, chemicals. And then strong perfume daily wear. We don't think about that, but it's every single day that you spray this on your skin or on your clothing, you're getting direct skin contact and direct inhalation exposure. And this is body sprays, perfumes, colognes, all of them. Who should be especially cautious? This list is going to sound very familiar if you've listened to the previous two episodes. Pregnant women, postpartum women, babies and children, women with PCOS, endometriosis, fibroids, thyroid disorders, migraines, infertility, and autoimmune conditions. And those with developing endocrine systems, babies, are also more vulnerable. The list of the different conditions that I listed, these are all things that tend to be either caused by or exacerbated by endocrine disruptors. And so when you are getting this additional exposure from these fragrances every single day, you are feeding these disorders and helping them to continue. So what do you look for instead? I'm going to try to keep it simple and try to keep it practical, but understand that this is a hard one. Okay, this is a hard one for people to let go of because oftentimes they have their products that they just love. And it's also hard because it's in a lot of places that you can't control. I'm also going to touch on cleaning products, which I didn't really talk about all of that much. But again, we have associated cleanliness with a smell. That's not what cleanliness is. We've decided that the smell of the cleaning product matters more than things actually being clean. And so we're going to talk about some alternatives there as well so that you can get those chemical smells out of your house as well. Those are not only the fragrance chemicals, but the chemicals that you're smelling from the cleaner itself, also toxic, also caustic to your skin and to your respiratory system. So at home, choose unscented laundry detergent, preferably beyond that, even getting away from some of these commercial products that are so laden with chemicals. I use a brand called Nellie's. I've been using it for, oh, I don't know how many years now, many years, because back when AJ, my oldest, was a baby and we started doing cloth diapers with him, we used Nellie's for his cloth diapers because you had to use a special detergent. You couldn't use these conventionally available laundry detergents because of the buildup that they put on the fabric. That should have been my first clue, but it took me years before I figured out that was a sign. Like, this stuff is accumulating on your clothing. So I had to find a product to use just for the diapers, and I started using Nellie's. And then one day I just decided, why am I using two different things? This is getting diapers clean, like the dirtiest of the dirty. Well, I can use it on my clothes as well. So I use Nellie's. I will link that in the show notes because I really, really like it. They disclose their ingredients, and so that's big for me. Wool dryer balls are a good substitute for dryer sheets, but I'll say that I don't even need these anymore. Now that I have, for so many years, not been using the conventional laundry detergents, my clothes do not get stiff. They do not get rough or scratchy. They are just as soft as they ever were, and I don't use anything in the dryer anymore. Occasionally, if I'm trying to get the wrinkles out of something, I will use the wool dryer balls. I do have some, and I will link the ones that I have because they actually, I think I got them also from Nellie's. But you might find with time you don't even need that. Open your windows. I know that seems so silly, and it's the winter time, and you're probably gonna, throw your arms up at this one and say, no, I can't do this. But fresh air works wonders. It is what God designed us to be breathing. So when you can get fresh air into your home, that is going to reduce the things that you're trying to cover up anyway. I want to talk about activated charcoal. Activated charcoal is extremely porous. Think of it like a microscopic sponge with millions of tiny pockets. It works by something called adsorption, not absorption. What that means is the fragrance molecules in the air bind to the surface of the charcoal and they get trapped inside of those pores so that then they can be removed out of the circulation of the room. They don't cover up scent. They physically pull those odor-causing compounds out of the air. And that includes things like these synthetic fragrance compounds, volatile organic compounds, or you might have heard them be called VOCs, smoke particles, mold-related odors, all of these kinds of things. You can use them in small charcoal bags and put those in places like bathrooms, laundry rooms, closets, cars, near trash cans, and they will slowly reduce lingering scent without adding anything new, without covering up anything, but rather taking it out of the air. You can also do larger charcoal containers, which are good for bedrooms, nurseries, living areas, and they're especially helpful if you're transitioning away from the plugins and the candles because they're going to remove that junk out of your air. You can also try HVAC or air purifier filters. Some of them have activated charcoal filters or carbon filters that remove airborne fragrance particles more efficiently than just your regular air filters. So if you have someone who's very sensitive hormonally or neurologically, this can make a really big difference for them. You can also put them in places like refrigerators, shoe closets, anywhere that scent lingers that you're trying to get rid of and that you find yourself wanting to cover up. So this matters because fragrance exposure often happens through inhalation, as we mentioned. So when you reduce the airborne scents, you're reducing the daily endocrine stimulation, you're reducing nervous system activation, you're reducing the cumulative chemical load, and those small air changes do add up. Clean air doesn't have to smell like anything. In fact, it should smell like nothing. Cleanliness is actually smelling like nothing. So alternatives for candles, if you're the type of people that just has, or type of person who just wants a candle, has to have a candle, look for beeswax candles. Stay away from paraffin candles. Stay away from candles that just say fragrance. You want beeswax candles that are perhaps maybe scented with essential oils, and that's about it. The beeswax candles do put off a nice smell as well from the beeswax. These are from natural beeswax from bees. Just be careful where you're getting them from. Make sure it's actually real. Make sure that it's not loaded down with other chemicals or toxins that are hiding in there. These days, as this becomes more popular, more people are putting products out to try to look like they are good, clean products, and they're not. So you're just going to have to pay attention to the ingredients. So cleaners that are not chemical or fragrance based. For this one, I use a few different brands. Again, we have associated in our brains that cleanliness means smell, and that is not necessarily true. For my bathrooms, I mainly use Norwex. I mentioned that last week that I had a Norwex face cloth that I use to clean off makeup. I use Norwex cloths to clean countertops, to clean showers, to clean the kitchen countertops and things like that. I don't have any stock in Norwex. I'm not a Norwex representative. After I decided I was going to mention this, I thought I should have found one of my friends that sells this. If you need a Norwex rep, contact me. I'll put you in touch with one of my friends who does it. But these cloths are a good way to clean things without being exposed to chemicals. These are the things that my children use when they're doing their chores so that they're able to get their bathroom and different things clean without being exposed to chemicals. I also use Young Living cleaner. It is available from Young Living. I do use Young Living some. I guess technically, I'm not really a representative, but I've got a link I will share with you in case you need anything from them or want to try out their cleaner. It's nice because it's concentrated, like 1 teaspoon makes a whole spray bottle's worth. So a little bit goes a long way. That's what I use when I need to spray down something in my kitchen, like if just wiping it up isn't enough, if there's been a spill or something like that, that's what I use in there. And there's another brand that honestly I cannot remember. I can't remember what it's called, but I'm going to look it up when I get home. I'm recording this in my office, and as I was writing out my outline, I, for the life of me, could not remember the name of this other product, but I will look it up and link it in the show notes. So it's another option for you that's a cleaner option. On your body, you want to look for fragrance-free products. You want to look for products that if they do have any scent to them, it comes from essential oils that have been fully disclosed. You can also diffuse these if you want to have a nice smell in your home. Diffusing essential oils is an option that's safer than the chemicals. Again, I use Young Living, and I'll share my link down in the show notes. I trust their sourcing because they are transparent about that. So that's why I choose them. But there are others that you can use as well. So, but you just really got to be careful and make sure that you're choosing a brand that is transparent with their ingredients, because this isn't, again, a new hip place that lots of people are trying to enter the market, and everything that's out there isn't necessarily good. So light occasional use of things can be okay, but the problem is really it's never light and occasional. So you really want to do all you can to get these perfumes and everything out of your home. You can even make your own perfume. So if you're thinking, well, but I still need to use perfume, I like to have that nice smell. I actually make my own perfume from essential oils, and I'll share my recipe in the show notes so you can go check that out. Again, clean doesn't have to smell like anything. When you walk into a room, if nobody smells anything, that's a good thing. That means that you don't stink. That means you are clean. And it also means you are not exposing yourself and the other people in the room to chemicals. Now, I hear some of you saying, but I love my perfume. Do you love it enough to sacrifice your health and well-being for it? Or are you willing to make some changes and live healthier? I hear some of you saying, but unscented is boring. I like these scents. But see, you were never meant to smell like a candle aisle. This is not something that God built into how we're supposed to be. He didn't intend for us to have a smell to us. That is something the world has convinced us is good. It is not good. It is hurting our health. And I hear some of you saying, oh, yeah, but natural fragrance is still fragrance. And that's true. But that is why transparency matters. Dose matters. Source matters. So do your homework. Make sure you are making good choices that do not have these artificial fragrances in them. Removing fragrance reduces the burden that your body has to deal with. It does not automatically fix hormone imbalance, but it is a huge step that will make a big difference with time, as your body has to work less to remove these toxic burdens that were coming into your body every single day, multiple times a day, sometimes all day. You cannot heal in an environment that is constantly stimulating and confusing your endocrine system. So these small changes in air quality create profound changes in your hormonal load. We've been bogging down our God-given systems to get out the stuff out of our bodies that was never meant to be there with the constant exposures. Our liver detox pathways, they're bogged down. That's one of the big ways our bodies get the junk out, is our liver detox pathways. They're bogged down. Our blood sugar regulation is impacted through this endocrine disruption that you've heard me talk about. Same thing for thyroid function, same thing for nervous system safety, because it all adds to our daily physical stress load that God never meant for us to carry. I work on all of these things with all of my one-on-one clients. We test. We don't guess. We look at your actual system to see what's going on in there. Then we systematically work backwards to formulate a roadmap to help you find your way back to living in alignment with God's design for your body. And one of the big pieces is looking at these toxic exposures so that we can identify them and get rid of them. I have a few spots left to start this month, and I would love for you to be one of them. In 6 months, you could be a completely new woman. I would love to hold your hand as you navigate the journey to a new, healthier you for yourself, your husband, and your children. And I know that not everybody listening is married and has children. And I'm saying that to you as well, because someday you might be married. Someday you might have children. And the changes that you make today can fundamentally change your future and their future for the better. So let's chat together. Let's get on a call, and you can sign up for that at morriswellnessservices.com/application. There's no charge for the call. We get on there, I ask you a few questions. We kind of talk through your situation and see if one-on-one coaching would be good for you and would help you on your journey. So go do that now. I would love to talk to you soon. And then make a note to meet me back here next week for the next episode in this series.